Hello and welcome to the Buckets and Tea NBA show. I'm your host, Cathryn Naiker. Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode. This is a special Tuesday night coming out Wednesday morning edition of the show. I know we usually come out on Fridays, but the NBA finals start Thursday, and I thought, why record this Thursday night? Have it come out Friday morning. We got to preview the finals, right? We got to. So I'm here. We're doing that early in the week episode. Hope you enjoy it. Please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Share the show. Leave a positive review. It all really helps. And I appreciate you all being with me on this journey. It's been an insane season, but we are here. Oklahoma City versus the Indiana Pacers. As the kids and the boomers say, didn't have this on my bingo card, right? We didn't have this on our bingo cards collectively. I don't know who made this bet, who's winning, that these would be the two finals teams, but here we are. I did, once we got here, say it was going to be Indiana in 6 against the Knicks, and I was happy to be right about that. Patting myself on the back. We're going to talk about the Knicks as well a bit later. Thibodeau's been fired today, just insanity. I'm going to get into all of that, but first, let's get into these finals. So we've got Oklahoma City and the Indiana Pacers, really like two Midwest teams, are they not? Like, I feel like, I don't know, like geographically, these teams are like really close together, even though it's East and West. I digress. Oklahoma City won the regular season matchup 2-0. The first game was without Chet Holmgren or Alex Caruso. Didn't matter. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, our MVP, had 45 points in that game, 7 rebounds, 8 assists. In contrast, Tyrese Halliburton had 4 points and 8 assists. No Aaron Nesmith in that game. That was in December, okay? A lot's changed since December. After that, we had hold on, I had it here. This game was in March. That game was a blowout. They won 132 to 111. Shai had 33 points in that game. The team hit 17 threes, hitting them at 47.2%. So really, like, the Thunder have had the Paces number in the limited times that they've met up this season. Also, too, like, Oklahoma City's been so dominant, it would be impossible. I feel like I can't even imagine what would have to happen, like, short of like a catastrophic injury, really, for Indiana to win this, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody. Trust me. Um, it's interesting too. One observation I've had with OKC is that, like, they've hung their hat up on defense. Everyone knows that. But the observation I had is just how unique that is for such a young team, right? Like, we don't typically associate young teams by being so strong defensively, and they've been absolutely killing it in this area. And I really feel like Lou Dort is becoming like a Draymond Green level defender, but without the antics. And I mean, if you've got that on your team, you know you're going places. I mean, in addition to that, he's not their main big, which has been the issue with Golden State for so many years, except for the years that they won, obviously. But, they've got Chet, they've got Hartenstein. I mean, they have bigs, and it allows Lou Dort to guard all these different positions. And the way I'm looking at this is, it's like, can Halliburton lead a successful offense against this OKC defense? And I don't know if he can. So far, no one has, if we're being honest. Let's look here. Anthony Edwards in the last series said it was like having 15 defenders on you at all times. I mean, what? That's a quote I read in The Athletic, okay? That's what he said. Um, that is absolutely wild. I just don't see a world where Indiana could win this series. I also feel like one thing that Indiana is going to struggle with, which I haven't heard a lot of people talk about yet, is like, how are they going to avoid being in foul trouble? Right? Like when you look at it, it's like Nemhard's going to be covering Shea. Um, You've got Neesmith on Jalen Williams. I imagine Lou Dort's gonna be on Siakam, which Lou Dort isn't necessarily an offensive threat, but he's a good enough shooter that you do need to have a hand up on him. So you've got all this floor spacing. They have their bigs. I just feel like OKC has too many weapons to really counter. I mean, even if everyone on Indiana is playing their best game, their absolute best game, I just don't see them winning 4 out of 7. I'm going to give Indiana credit on 2 things here. One, they've showed us that they're capable of a miracle game, right? So you got to give them that. That if a game is close, they are very capable of hitting that miracle shot to either win the game or go into overtime. So, number 1. Number 2, OKC showed us against Minnesota that they can take their foot off the gas, right? I mean, it's the only reason that series wasn't a sweep. And so if you factor that in, if both of those things happen, then I could see Indiana winning 2 games. And I know some people are picking Thunder in 6 because they're just like, hey, like Indiana deserves a lot of credit for getting this far. And they do. And that's where I'm kind of giving them credit because I feel like from a matchup perspective, they're not really winning on any level here. Um, but there's also there's something about Indiana that feels a little faded, to be honest, in a good way, that they're here. Like, like the Kawhi shot after that happened, it just felt like fate that the Raptors were going to win. And I feel like they've just had a lot of interesting things happen along the way. The Damian Lillard injury happened. Now, again, I think they win that series against Milwaukee anyways, but it was a huge turning point in the playoffs. Then they have the Jason Tatum injury. That was against New York, but still, the fact that they don't have to face Boston is a big deal. A healthy Boston, I should say. Also, too, Cleveland just collapsing was absolutely wild. No one saw that coming. I mean, and then obviously the Halliburton shot in game 1 in the Eastern Conference Finals. There's just something about this team. They've been an underdog in almost every single series, and they're here. So it doesn't make sense to like completely cut them out, but logically, there isn't reasons to keep them in, if that makes sense. So it's like when you're looking at all the stats, you're looking at the numbers, it's just none of it's in Indiana's favor. But when you're just looking at their path to success and how they got here, you got to give your, like, it's like, okay, I don't see it on the page, but I see it in front of me. Indiana is a special team. They've gotten further than anyone thought they would. That's got to count for something. We have seen this in recent history with like the Miami Heat and stuff like that. But this team feels different to me. Like I just feel like when Miami Heat got to the finals, it was just like Jimmy Butler's like will. I mean, no discredit to the rest of that team. But this is like, it's always such a collective effort with Indiana. It's not like, oh, this team only goes as far as Halliburton will take them. Like, that is not the case with them. And I do think, like, they've shown us that they are very capable of having like the game of their lives when it matters. So I keep, going back and forth on this. Is it OKC in 5? Is it OKC in 6? I mean, it's like my head says 5, my heart says 6. which is a bit of a cop out, but that's just the truth. I, looking at this Oklahoma City team, first of all, there's the old adage, defense wins championships. Cliche, but very true, and very worth noting. There's a couple great what ifs of this year's playoffs. I just went through the ones in the East, right? With the injuries and Cleveland collapsing. The other great what if is what if Denver was healthy? That's the great what if of the Western Conference playoffs this year. What if Denver was healthy? Because I said when the semifinals were happening that series was the championship. Whoever wins that series is winning the entire thing. I stand by that. If Denver were healthy, I think, could they have beaten OKC? I think they could have. Honestly, if they were completely healthy. I mean, I'm talking about Aaron Gordon, but I'm also talking about Michael Porter Jr., who played but clearly had that really bad shoulder injury, was not himself. Like, I just feel like if that team were healthy, this finals could have looked different. It could have been the all gold finals with Indiana and Denver, just all yellow finals. It's like you look at the screen, you don't know what city you're in. It's just every crowd is yellow. But aside from that, Oklahoma City needs to be lauded as one of the great teams ever assembled. And that's not hyperbole. Like, that's for real. Like, think about it. They won 68 regular season games, a feat only a handful of teams have ever met. They have only lost 4 games this entire playoffs, and 3 of those games were to Denver. Okay, they took their foot off the gas against Minnesota, and Denver was a 7-game series, and that's it. Those are the only playoff games they've lost. I mean, if they end up sweeping Indiana, or it ends up being them in 5, like, they need to be put on a pedestal as one of the better NBA teams ever assembled just in this one season, because hardly any teams have ever done this. Like, I think like the Shaq Kobe Lakers had like an outstanding run in one of their years. I mean, there was 3 of them. I'm blanking on which one, where they hardly lost any games. I mean, the Kevin Durant Warriors. Like, there's a handful of teams that have done this, but it's really remarkable what Oklahoma City has done. And as much as I'm like, oh, like Indiana, there's something faded about this team, and that is true. The dominance of this team really can't be understated. And the one thing I'm thinking about, and not to get too ahead of myself here with the off season or the future, but are we finally going to see another NBA dynasty with this OKC team, right? Like, we haven't had a back-to-back championship since the Durant Warriors. We haven't had one this decade so far. Is OKC finally going to be that team? I wonder, right? Like, because they're young enough to be. I mean, I felt that way about Boston too last year. I was like, they're young enough to be as well. And they have, well, now they're not young enough between Al Horford and, zombie Porzingis, as everyone's calling him now. But, I just, OKC, they're so good. They're so young. They could very easily dominate the rest of this decade. And it would be, depending on how things shake out, it would be an abject failure if they didn't, I feel, at this point. Because, for all the things these other teams are trying to do, fire their coaches, make these big trades, blah, blah, blah. And we'll get into that. And I'm sure we'll have a really fun off season. I don't, for all the rumors that are out there and all the moves being made, I don't think it brings anyone closer to beating this team. Like, as of right now, as of June 3rd, which I'm recording this late on Tuesday, 2025, I just don't see it. My head says oh my God, I just said Lakers. I was looking at my notes. My head says Thunder in 5, but my heart says Thunder in 6. That's where I'm going to leave that. Okay, let's get into the Knicks here for a minute. So they lose in 6. They just fired Tibbs today. I mean, first of all, can somebody tell the NBA they don't have to go this hard? You know what I mean? Like, I get it. The finals don't start till Thursday, but did the man really need to lose his job? NBA writers, call me. But I kid, I kid. So they fired Tibbs. My first reaction to this is that this is a loser move. This is a panic move. It feels emotional, frankly. Like, it still hurts. The loss still hurts, all of this stuff. But, and I think some of that's true. But when I think about it, the Knicks were constantly down in different games, even games that they would come out to win. But it felt like in every single series, they were down by more than 10 points, multiple games, right? And when Tibbs started making these adjustments in the Eastern Conference Finals, I kind of thought like the issue was a bit overblown. I'm like, coaches are supposed to make adjustments all the time. But Tibbs is a coach that doesn't make adjustments. So then when he was doing it, it's people kind of saw it as a sign of weakness. And it's kind of a lose-lose situation there where it's like you don't want to make these adjustments because you want to show like consistency and trust in your players and this and that. But then you also are seeing what's in front of you and you need to make adjustments. Maybe if he was making adjustments like this earlier in the season and things like that, people wouldn't have seen it as such a like, wow, what is he doing? Like I feel like if Steve Kerr did that, no one would care. I mean, I know he's Steve Kerr, but still, it's like when a coach is known for adjustments, people don't make it as big of an issue. I mean, they made it a big issue with Klay Thompson, but that's because he's Klay Thompson. Anyway, I just feel like it's like he's getting punished for making these adjustments, but also it's like, what else was he supposed to do? You know, I don't know if they had issues in the locker room. There's rumors that maybe some of the players were complaining that they were playing too many minutes. When they were asked about, sorry about that, when they were asked about, the adjustments in the Eastern Conference Finals, they all said that they trust Tibbs and all of this, that they have his full trust. Maybe that wasn't true. Maybe that wasn't true. I just feel like whenever we see these coach firings, and we've seen a lot of championship coaches lose their jobs, and now we're seeing somebody who, wasn't a championship coach with this team, but took this team further than they've been in the last like 25 years, which is not nothing, lose his job. And I just wonder, like, are we just not getting the full story? Are people just being emotional? Like, what's happening here? That this is just what the league is now. And then I wonder too, like they have this weird dynamic with like Rick Brunson, Jalen Brunson's dad, being an assistant coach. And it's like, well, is he going to become the head coach? Because who's out there that's going to take you further than you've gone? Like that's the part of this that I don't really get. It's like, okay, there were things he did that maybe you didn't necessarily like. You didn't like him switching up the starting lineup so late in the playoffs and things like that. Who's going to lift you higher? Right? Are you going to hire Mike Malone? Are you going to find some like college coach and give them a shot? Like, I don't know, man. Are you going to hire your best player's dad? I don't know. Like, personally, I feel like the Knicks, their issues are on the players, right? Like they need to step up defensively as a whole, which could be coaching. I will give them that. But also too, like I felt like OG Anunoby really disappeared in this Eastern Conference Finals. Like I don't know how Pascal handled him so much. I tried to look into other experts and greater minds, what their reasoning might be, but it seems like a bit of a mystery to them. They're just like, oh yeah, and where was OG? I think Cat needs to step up defensively. I think Mikal Bridges needs to have the off season of his life. The off season of his life. Like, I don't know who's taken Kobe Bryant's place in terms of that, like, player that you want to work out with in the off season. who's just gonna like grill you to the nth degree and then you're gonna come on the other side of it a better player. I don't know if that's like LeBron still. I mean, he has that kind of reputation too, but he needs to do some real digging this offseason. And he needs to become a more consistent player. And I say that as opposed to what everyone else says about like, just trading guys, because I think he has it in him. Like, I think Mikal Bridges has it in him to be a better, more consistent player. It just didn't happen this year. And again, greater basketball minds can say what he needs to do or not do to get to that point, but I believe that he can and he should. And I feel like regardless of what this coaching situation becomes, he needs to have the off season of his life. And if they do that, then I think we could have a really different Eastern Conference Finals next year where maybe they actually win. Truthfully, like I just feel like they have all the pieces. I don't think they necessarily need to panic, but I think they need to dig deep and get better. And I think there's room to do that. And I hope they do. Randomly, Raptors stray thought here. I was like, Nick Nurse would be a good coach for this New York team. Tell me I'm wrong. I just feel like he would. I feel like Nick Nurse is a really great coach when he has a good team. When he has really great players in front of him who have a high basketball IQ, he is strategically really good at knowing what to do with that group. That's what he excels at. I'm like, man, if only Philadelphia fired him, I actually think Nick Nurse would be a good coach for the Knicks. And also to, like players, they complain about the minutes, and Nick is the same as Tibbs in terms of like, playing his players big minutes. But I was thinking about it and I was like, man, that 2019 team, I don't remember anyone complaining about their minutes. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember the 2019 championship Raptors complaining about their minutes. That's all. The only thing I want to say about the Eastern Conference in terms of playoffs and stuff before we move on is like, a lot of people are just assuming Boston is going to be irrelevant next year. A lot of people are saying they should do all these big moves because of the Tatum injury. And, you look at the Eastern Conference, and the Eastern Conference is not good. And Boston is going to be a playoff team without Tatum for the whole season. They're going to be a playoff team. Like, I still think Boston is a top 6 team in the Eastern Conference without Tatum. So I'm not even talking play in here. I'm talking playoff team. If Tatum comes back before the playoffs, I mean, they say 8 to 12 months. It's usually 12 months, and I hope to God they don't rush it. But this team isn't just a bunch of nobodies. Like, I don't know why everyone's acting like, well, Boston's not in it anymore, or now the East is going to be wide open and this and that. And I'm just like, this isn't true. Boston is still going to be a team to contend with in the East. Hashtag abolish the conferences. That's what I'd really like to see. Okay. Let's have a bit of a Raptors homer moment here. The rumors are swirling. They're getting bigger. They're getting better. They're getting juicier. It has been reported by reputable people that the Raptors are actively seeking out Giannis and that there is, in fact, mutual interest. To this rumor, chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. Oh, my God. I can't think of anything better. I would love Giannis to be here. I was just saying on my last episode, asking you, the listeners, if you could go back in time, would you have done the Kevin Durant trade for Scotty Barnes? I think a lot of people said yes, they would. Now, I don't know if Scotty would be in this trade. Probably, maybe. I don't know. The rumors don't have the players involved in this trade. At the same time, if you're giving up Scotty, I mean, you're just like, what are we doing? However, Masai and Bobby, they're smart guys. I know not every single decision they've made we've loved, blah, blah, blah. It hasn't been easy to see Pascal thriving in these playoffs. I know we're all in our feelings about it. We're all like, we shouldn't have traded him, this, that, and the other. That might be true, but here we are. I think Every Raptors fan and their mother and their father and their grandparents need to pray that we get Giannis. They need to pray. We need to manifest this. Let's get Giannis. Why not? Why not? Everything would be better with Giannis. Okay? I'm not worried about this. I feel like if we can pull this off, this would be absolutely incredible. And then once Giannis is here, then you can pull off all other kinds of moves as well to get other players to play with him. Because who wouldn't want to play with Giannis? There's never been rumors about him being a bad teammate or something. He's a top 5 NBA player. And I have to give some credit to Raptors Access, who re-earthed a quote from 2018. This is the press conference after the Kawhi trade happened, that when you have the ability to get a top 5 player, you have to go for it. So, baby, he's going for it. He always said we'd win here again. He believes in the city. He believes in us. And frankly, I still believe in Masai. We've talked about some of the criticisms. I definitely think some of the criticisms are valid, but this man is still one of the more compatible NBA front office leaders. And oh God, I want this move so bad. I want this move so bad. There's also some really interesting Sabonis rumors out there. I would also love. Could we pull off both of those players together? That would be astronomical. Put me in the line for the jerseys. Okay? Put me in line for the jerseys. I would absolutely love that. Masai is the man. Okay? He has a contract up next year. And what I like to see is that he is going for it. This is what matters to me. We can't control whether any of this happens or doesn't happen. I'll have so much more to say once any of this actually happens. There's only so much to say about the speculation of rumors, and you could open up the trade machine and do all the speculative stuff for hours. But I'll have more to say when something actually happens. One thing I really do appreciate about Masai right now is that he is going for it. He is in these conversations. And if he pulls this off, buddy, shut it down. Ed Rogers, get the money. Get the Brinks truck, okay? Ed Rogers, I know you probably don't listen to this, but I don't know if you've ever watched a game of basketball a day in your life, okay, Ed Rogers? But if he pulls this off, you need to pay this man. You need to pay this man. You need to maybe go to a game or two. I don't know if you've been there. The camera never goes to you to say like, oh, look, Ed Rogers is here supporting the Raptors. Literally never. You can tell me if I'm wrong. Maybe I missed it the one time he was there. Maybe he was there against the Charlotte Hornets and I missed it. But I hope this Rogers family pays them. Listen, if they don't pay him, I will resubscribe to other people. Okay? I don't need my phone with Fido. This is where my fandom gets absolutely ridiculous. There's a lot of rumors about him leaving. I know a lot of people believe these rumors to be true. I, at this moment, do not believe these rumors to be true. I think Masai absolutely wants to stay. I think any other franchise who's in the market for someone like him couldn't offer him more than what we have. And I think that's really important. I think he's really special. And I think he's synonymous with Raptors basketball. I can't even imagine Raptors basketball without him. Isn't that right, Zelda? My puppy. For all those watching on YouTube, my puppy, Zelda. Yeah, I'm not believing any of the Masai leaving rumors, but Masai getting Giannis rumors, ooh, those are juicy. Those are nice. That I like to see. Okay, everyone, you got to get your manifest game on. Make your vision boards, whatever you want to do. I know it's mainly men who listen to this, but we got to get crafty. Okay, I know we're not into arts and crafts, but we got to get crafty. So let me know what you're doing to manifest Giannis to Toronto. Okay, we got to get into this. All right, I think it's time for Hottie Highlight of the week. this is going to Pascal Siakam, okay? Our honorary Canadian here, winning the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, an award that is, extremely debatable in its existence, but we're happy to see him get it. Absolutely phenomenal performance in the Eastern Conference Finals. Absolutely amazing. He had 33 points in that game 6. Funny that Halliburton thought he was going to get it. I think we all probably thought Halliburton was going to get it, and he had that step forward and then the step back. But, you know, afterwards, like Siakam and Halliburton, they were on the inside the NBA stage, and they were having a great time. I think it's one of those like winning cures everything sort of moments, So really happy for Pascal. I think I said this in a previous episode, but just really happy he's been getting his flowers during this playoffs, and it's great to see him play some of the best basketball of his life. One thing before I'll go, shout out to Inside the NBA. The last episode of that on TNT has come and gone. They are collectively moving to ESPN. We'll see if it's the same show. I was listening to Bill Simmons, who thinks they're going to mess it up. We'll see. We'll see. I hope they don't. I do really like that show. I do really like Charles Barkley, even though he talks about, quote unquote, big women in San Antonio. And I'm not exactly small, but none of that offended me because I'm like, whatever, just live, just live. Let's wrap it up there before I get way too silly. Thank you everyone for listening, tuning in. Let me know if you agree or disagree with anything I've said. I love when people just engage with the show in general. Even if you disagree, just, having fun with the topic that is basketball. Appreciate you, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Happy NBA Finals, everyone. Happy basketball in June. Hope you enjoy this early episode as an NBA Finals preview. Thank you again, and I'll see you on the other side. Bye.